Hey everyone, this is Q Storm. I'm back again with this video that I don't. I was trying to avoid doing this because I know a few other high-profile YouTubers and chatters, bloggers, Twitter users have done this, and I figured my contribution would be pretty much moot at this point. But I just read this article by a gentleman named Jamal Igle. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apparently he's a writer for Nerds of Color. I don't know the gentleman, and I'm sure he's a fine person, but he wrote the article called "For the Love of FN 2187, Why John Boyega as Finn is one of the best new characters in Star Wars." What I will say is John Boyega is an excellent actor. I want everyone to understand that. I have no problem with John Boyega whatsoever. But me being who I am, me being Q Storm, and you can look me up on Facebook, anyone will tell you this. If I have an opinion about something, I'm going to stick to it. And when I read this, I decided I have to weigh in on this controversy. I was really hyped to see John Boyega as a hero in this film, in the Star Wars film. All the marketing led me to that understanding. All of the images led me to that understanding. And it's not what I got out of the movie. And I can accept that. However, I had some huge problems with the character being a black lead in a Star Wars film. I have to say that. I want to go through this article. He talks about how Finn and Poe meet and how he says there's an instant rapport between the two as they make their escape, and Poe gives him his new moniker while they're escaping. Now, I know we want to live in a post-racial society, and I know we want to believe that we are on the path to curing racism. Okay, I'd like to believe that, but I live in the real world, so there's a lot of times there's subtext where no subtext is intended, and I have to say, when you have a character who is for the first time a black actor playing a stormtrooper, and that character is given a name, there's no way to avoid that subtext. I had a problem with that. And I had a problem with him responding, "Oh, I like that name." I mean, I'm flashing back to the whole Toby thing.
What the hell you said? Your name is Toby.
I have to say that. That's where I'm going with this. Next thing is he says, with Finn, we got the successor to another popular Star Wars icon, Han Solo. Seriously? Okay. Like Han, Finn is our everyman. He's the entry point hero we follow through the story. Like Han, Finn is normal. He's not royalty, nor a superpowered force wielder. In fact, until being handed a lightsaber, he'd never even seen one outside of Kylo Ren's. Well, that brings up another issue that happens in the third act, that for not having seen a lightsaber, he sure knows how to handle one, for the most part. That made no sense to me, but moving on. People forget that Han Solo spent the majority of both Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back trying to leave the rebellion. That is true. Han wasn't a hero. He didn't want to go on the Death Star to rescue Leia until the promise of a reward was placed in front of him. Han wasn't a particularly great shot or an expert pilot. Okay. He wasn't naturally brave and was captured by the Empire, frozen in carbonite, and mounted on Jabba's wall. So because he got captured, that makes him not brave. The thing that made Han popular was his everyman quality. That's true, but let me back up for a sec. Han wasn't a hero? As I recall, at the end of A New Hope, Luke is about ready to take the shot that destroys the Death Star, but he's got Darth Vader on his ass. And there's a shot, if I'm not mistaken, where the Millennium Falcon jumps out of light speed, fires on Vader's sidekick's TIE fighter, knocking Vader into orbit before Vader can take the shot on Luke.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
That sounds like a hero to me. He turns around and comes back for no reason, no motivation, out of just doing the right thing, other than doing the right thing. That's what defines a hero. Going on. As we get to know Finn, we discover who he was. He was a nameless drone who worked in sanitation. Really? They couldn't make the brother a pilot? They couldn't give him anything else to do but sanitation? He was taken from his parents. This is dialogue in the film. He was taken from his parents as a child. I mean, that implies child soldier tactics. I mean, that's pretty deep, but okay, they don't address that. That's fine. But he's taken as a child and trained and programmed to be a stormtrooper. So which one is it? He was raised to be a stormtrooper or he was raised to work in sanitation? Okay. Again, I have nothing against the gentleman who wrote this article, but I just have to I have to speak my mind. He writes, Finn ends up being the hero. When Rey is down, he steps forward, lightsaber in hand, to take on Kylo Ren. I don't really, well, I do recall there was a lightsaber battle and maybe Rey was down. I don't remember exactly, but one, a sanitation guy should not be able to even know how to handle the lightsaber, how to pick it up, or how to turn it on, first of all. So to give me those heroics, I appreciate it, but they don't make sense. The heroics have to make sense. He says the Resistance is only able to take down Starkiller Base because Finn knows his way around, providing them with the critical information to not only get past their shields, but to destroy the reactor. Now, I've saw this film twice. When they first land on Starkiller, Han says to him, okay, how do we get the shields down? I'm paraphrasing. And Finn says, I don't know how to get the shields down. I worked in sanitation. And Han gets up in his face and says, they are counting on us. What are you talking about?
Hey, where are the white women at?
And he makes a joke. He says, oh, we'll just use the Force. And Han Solo says, that's not how the Force works, kid. I'm just calling it the way I see it. Okay? Yeah, I love Star Wars, but I got to call bullshit when I see bullshit. So those were some points in this article that I just felt like didn't really speak to the fact why Finn is the best new character in Star Wars. I mean, if we're going to be honest, the best new character in this film is Rey. Finn, because he's portrayed by John Boyega and because he does such a great job with what's written on the page, despite the fact that I have a huge problem with what's written on the page, John Boyega knocks it out of the park, no doubt. But to call him one of the best new characters? I mean, now I'm going to get on my racial politics. When he first lands on Jakku, they got the guy drinking out of some trough with some alien pig. That's one thing. Then he sees Rey. Now, this is an ex-stormtrooper, mind you. He sees Rey taking on a couple of thugs. BB-8, as much as I love them, BB-8 rats him out. Basically, he tells Rey that that's my man's jacket and he stole it. And then he starts running. He does a lot of running. Then I guess BB-8, once they subdue him, BB-8 gets his NYPD on and tases the guy not once but twice. Okay, yeah. There's nothing going on in today's society or today's world that might stir up some sort of connotations there. I want to back up even before all that. I can see it being an interesting plot point that one of the stormtroopers has a crisis of conscience and decides to eschew his chosen role as a stormtrooper. But give me a motivation for that. Why does that happen? You introduce the concept of child soldiers. You know, stormtroopers are taken from their parents as children. That's something that might deserve exploration and might motivate why Finn has a crisis of conscience. Because all the stormtroopers suffer the same fate. So why does he go through this change? What is it about Finn that makes him go through this change? It doesn't have to be a whole act of a film. Just be a flashback. Just be some dialogue that explains that. But nothing this character does is properly motivated. Why does he fall so much head over heels for Rey?
Hey, where are the white women at?
I mean, when they're in the Millennium Falcon and they're escaping from the TIE fighters that arrive on Jakku, he just casually says, "Oh, what? You got a boyfriend? Is he good looking? You got a boyfriend or something?" Where does that come from? It comes out of the blue. Nothing motivates that. Given the fact that he does fall for Rey inexplicably, before he really gets to know her, okay, I can only think of one reason why Finn is not allowed to kiss Rey, who apparently seems to have some feelings for him, but yet he gets a hug. Now, I do recall in A New Hope that before Luke, who did a lot of heroic things, such as swinging across the Death Star chasm with Leia in hand, that Luke got a kiss from Leia.
Good luck.
And that was his sister. Okay, so we can have siblings kissing on screen in Star Wars, but we cannot have interracial kissing in Star Wars. Now, I am the least militant brother you want to meet, but like I said before, if I see bull, I gotta call bull. Oh, I'm sorry. He does get a kiss from Rey. He gets a kiss on the forehead after he's knocked unconscious, and she puts him in the friend zone. I'll see you later, my friend. Okay. I seem to recall that in Empire Strikes Back, they put Luke in a tank, and within a couple days, he was back on his feet, pretty much. I guess this brother, for whatever reason, he stays unconscious, and Rey, who cares about him so much, has to jet before he can recover. And I guess it takes longer for the brother to recover. I don't know. Call me the conspiracy guy. I'm just saying. I'm happy to see John Boyega in a major role, because what this means is I'm going to get to see him most likely in a lot more films, hopefully. This is going to raise his profile in this country hugely. Now, I did read an article that said that both he and Daisy Ridley only made between $100,000 to $300,000 for this film. So I can't really say that they did the brother wrong in terms of a paycheck, because they both were on the low end of the scale. I assume they jumped at the chance for such low wages because, well, one, they don't have a lot of IMDb credits. And two, it's Star Wars. You jump at the chance to do Star Wars, much like Jonah Hill. It's rumored that he only got $60,000 to appear in Wolf of Wall Street because he knew he was going to be working with Martin Scorsese. So you jump at the chance to do Star Wars, whatever they're paying you, and it's going to lead to a larger universe in terms of your acting potential or your marketability. So I get that, but I'm just saying that as happy as I am to see Boyega on the cusp of greatness, as happy as I am to see a black lead in Star Wars, I do think they kind of bumbled it here. And I am not going to lie, after seeing the marketing materials, after seeing the trailers, I am disappointed in how Boyega's character was treated. And despite that, even if it had nothing to do with race, I am disappointed with how the character itself was treated. Even if it were a white actor playing that role, for a new character in a new lead in a Star Wars film to be so poorly written is beyond the pale to me. And that's just how I feel. Again, respect to the gentleman, Jamal Eagle, who wrote the article. I will read more of his work. I just had to express a disagreement with some of his citations here, some of his speculation. And because basically, if you watch me on Podcast Juice, if you've come to my my YouTube page, that's what I do. That's the name of one of my shows. This is what we do. So hopefully you won't hold it against me too much. I just had an opinion, had to express it. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm full of it. Let me know what you think. And, leave your opinion as well. That's the martini.